Welcome to part 2 of my speed build. This is the $44 million Lake Tahoe mansion. Kind of, let's call it the mansion adjacent at this point, because I don't think it's going to be exactly like the mansion, but I'll do some side-by-side screenshots so you can see kind of what I was trying to do. I'll put that in at the end of the video, and then it'll be a good kind of comparison to the real life. So we're starting on the second floor here. I didn't really feel like continuing in anymore with the lower floor. I feel like I got it as good as I could. I still haven't gotten the landscaping done, but this is, I think, as far as this build's gonna go. Unfortunately, like, it had to be near water in order to get the Lake Tahoe feel. Unfortunately, though, it just doesn't match the island vibe and the forest vibe, because it's like really like Pacific Northwest-ish like vibes, and when you come into this house it's very like Hawaii vibes. So the trees and the water and the colors don't exactly mesh outside, and I found it really difficult to make it work, especially with the amount of grass, and like this is really supposed to be a house that's sunken into the forest, so it makes it a little difficult when it's just in the middle, like some random island. I probably could have picked a better placement for the house, and I'm probably going to move it to another lot and then do the landscaping on another lot instead. I think that would be the only thing that could do this house any justice. I do like how it turned out in the end. I think it came out really, really well. I put in a lot of effort, and it was really one of the more difficult builds I've done, just because I was trying to keep it so tethered to reality. So up here I'm starting the gosh, what do I even call that? I think that ended up being the office, and I kind of got frustrated with that whole half of the house. So you'll see in a couple seconds here, I just kind of gave up and started with the master bedroom. So the whole top of this house has a few rooms. I've got 2 bathrooms, the closet for the master bedroom, 3 bedrooms. There's a kid's room, a single bedroom, and the master bedroom, and then the movie theater and the office. So that's the majority of what the upper portion of this house ended up being. And I'm not sure if I said anything in the first video about how I feel about hallways in a Sims game. Most of the time I think they're just a useless waste of space, but in this house I felt like they were necessary just for the like grandeur of the house. Like, I don't know, you don't normally have houses without hallways anyway, so I decided to slide one in there. I had a heck of a lot of trouble picking the doors for this upper level, and I think what I ended up doing was just copying the doors that were on the level below it, which kind of did tie everything in, and it kept the house cohesive. So I really do like that that was the move I went with in the end there. So heading back on over to the movie theater, that's where I chose to start the upper level here. And the first thing I did was try to put in a platform. I really like the look in home movie theaters where you have like the tiered floor, kind of like in a regular movie theater, how there's like steps you have to go up. So I went with that. I wanted to do 2 levels, making it so there was like 3 steps to go up. Unfortunately, I think trying to put stairs in didn't work out for me. The runs were too small to fit a stair in properly, and maybe there's like a better way to do it. I'm not particularly the best with the mechanics of this game. I just couldn't figure it out, so I just decided to omit them for now, and then I just figured the Sims can probably walk up the little steps. I haven't actually tried Sims in this house yet, so I'm gonna have to do a little bit of a test run. By the end of this video, we'll know for sure, though. And I'm messing around with all of the different wallpaper choices. This room I found the hardest to pick the floor color and the wall color for, because I wanted to go really dark. As you would in a movie theater, part of me really wanted just velvet red curtains or velvet red walls, and then having those like super red leather movie chairs, which are actually the chairs that this house has in its own movie theater. But I didn't. I tried it. I tried a bunch of different reds, and I just couldn't. I didn't like the chairs. I didn't think they worked. So in the end, I ended up making them kind of a slate gray color, but I guess it's kind of more brown or more of a taupe color. And I really did like how that looked. I think it meshed really well. Now looking back on it, I don't think the red was nearly as bad as I originally had thought it was. But yeah, there we can see I'm switching to the more taupey color. I think it matched the room a little bit more. Yeah, and again, messing with the walls, I just can't decide. So you can see me pulling things from the floor beneath it to try to tie it into the house somehow, but it wasn't working. In the end, I think I just went with the color that was in the hallway, the wooden paneling. So we bounced again. Now we're over in the master bedroom, and this is actually, I think, my second favorite room in the house. I think the whole foyer downstairs is definitely like my favorite part of the house. But if I were to put a picture of this side by side with the actual house, it probably looks the most accurate. So I definitely I love how this room turned out. And there's a little bathroom and a home gym attached to it. I extended the windows a little bit just because I felt that looked more grand. Unfortunately, we couldn't do the ceilings the way that they're done in the actual house. It's got like these beautiful wood beams going through all of it, and it's like a peaked roof. It is the cutest bedroom ever, the cutest ceiling ever, but there's no real like ceiling detailing that we can do, so I just left it white, as usual. So as you can see, I'm messing around with the windows quite a bit here. Trying to find the right curtains was a bit difficult. The curtains in the actual house are really grand. They're curved, they're peaked to match the roof. They're really flowy and light and delicate, and that's kind of what I tried to match with those ones. Now luckily, the chairs that are in the Sims game look like they were ripped right out of this house, so it worked perfectly for me. I just grabbed those chairs and plopped them right down. Everything was perfect. So now we're in an overhead view, and I'm going to move on to kind of trying to reshape this bedroom a little bit. Also finishing up the hallway at the end there. That little nub at the back, I believe, turned into the workout room. And then we've got the closet and the bathroom that are all attached to the main master bedroom up there as well. As I flip around a few times, I kind of messed around with this freaking wall. It didn't matter what I did to this wall. Even when I was finished the build, I was not 100% happy with it. I slapped on a couple pillars, and you'll see that I do move those quite a few times just within the build. That's kind of the way that I tend to build things, is really fluidly and really not to a formula. Sometimes comes around and bites me in the butt. I'm thinking a little bit like right now, because the amount of times I had to mess around to find something that I felt worked in that door. And honestly, that archway I think is the best if I could find the right color for it. Unfortunately, it just didn't have a dark enough wood to match the pillars, so I ended up just going with that straight one that I think you saw me try in the beginning there. Not my favorite, but it definitely it filled in the niche. It did what it was supposed to, but I love the way. Alright, so I'm going to move on to showing this bedroom over here the attention that it truly deserves. I don't like that point in the wall at all, so I'm going to maneuver it until it's flat, and by the end of this I pulled it out and made a little like a bed nook. I've added a nice little sitting chair, and I'm going to put a little lamp behind that. There's a couple of really nice chairs that I already had there, and then this is where it really comes in. I kept exiting to try to match the photo as best I could. Because there is a photo of this room that truly shows like how grand and how beautiful it really is. And it's kind of from that angle that you'll see me keep going back to behind the chair, because I'm looking at a reference photo that comes from behind that chair. I put in a little end table and a nice little plant. In the actual house, there is a little plant over there. It's not a palm tree, but I added a couple little flowers, and I tested out a few rugs. There wasn't really anything that I loved, so I went with what I did in the living room beneath it, just by the window, and I thought that really opened it up and made it look really beautiful. It also like kind of drew the eye somewhere so that the floor wasn't just so open and vast. In the actual bedroom, there's a fireplace that is floor-to-ceiling stone, so I added a fireplace. There is that dip in the wall as well. So you can see I'm messing around, really just trying to get the spacing right. I did use the move objects cheat, so I wanted to make sure that all of the Sims that entered the house could maneuver around it without having, getting stuck by the fireplace or saying that they can't walk somewhere. And I'm going to do the full test run at the end just to see if there is anything that worked or didn't work, and I might end up changing a few things when I upload the actual build. Now I'm messing around a little bit with the doors. I really love this little corner. It ended up being the thing I had the most fun with in the house, just the little dual archway, and then I put a couple curtains over it. And really, I feel like that's all you need to make like just an adorable little area. I put a pillar in there and boom, beautiful, fantastic. So I moved on from there. I kind of messed around with the bathroom a little bit, but kind of got distracted by the landscaping. That was really when I realized the trees just weren't gonna work. So I went back for a little bit of a reference photo, so that's kind of what I am going off of for the build of this house, and I think it worked out really well. I was just trying to find something that kind of matched what was actually in the house to go on the table. So I looked and I saw that there was a couple of books and a little vase with some flowers in it. So I did the same thing, added a couple books, a little vase with some flowers in it, coat rack, just a couple finishing touches. Decided against those curtains though. So what we've got going there is the closet, and then that tiny room behind the door is going to end up being the bathroom. So that's what I'm going to start working on now. You see me blocking it in a bit, building the walls. I've sped up the video a little bit faster. This build I think took me, in total going on about 10 hours, but for the whole of it, this part was about 3 hours. So I sped it up a little bit quick just to kind of get through it. I'm quite indecisive when I'm trying to pick wall colors. So I ended up changing the theater again, went with brick, and then I went back to the closet. For the closet, I wasn't really sure. I wanted to have these built-ins because they match my bed, but in the end, it didn't really look right, so I stuck with a couple, and then I threw out the rest, and I just went with a classic vanity setup, and then a little area where she can kind of get dressed and check herself out in the mirror. I flip-flopped between what colors I wanted this to be quite a bit, and I have no idea why, considering it matched my bed. I should have just kept it gold, which later on I find out after messing around quite a bit, gold was definitely the color of choice. So I just changed everything back to the white and gold. There I've added the vanity, and I kind of checked what it's gonna look like when I play the game, just to see what the room will look like from the angle that I will usually be seeing it from. So I checked out the plant, and then I decided I wanted a little bit of a mat or like something in there. It was so hard to decide, but again, I went with those floor kind of decals that I had been using downstairs. I feel like it kind of keeps the entire house cohesive. So then I went back to the bathroom, did a little bit more manipulating of the walls. So there's only a couple areas in the house that I left random little triangles in, but this was definitely one of those rooms where you can see on the top there's a couple random little triangles. I wasn't sure like how to get rid of them, so I just left them there. They're sticking with us for the ride. It's okay though, if anybody wants to add an extra closet to this build or something, they can do that. Oh my gosh. So I'm gonna move on from here. I just kind of flashed to the outside of the house. I did a little bit of manipulating because it was hard to find a roof that kind of matched the reality of the house, like what the actual roof was. In the end, I think it kind of worked out, but you can see messing around with the placement of the island. Like I just felt like it didn't match. Like the house just didn't go properly. Which I think just ties back to this being truly a forest house stuck on an island. I think that's really why I don't think it works, or why I spent so much time messing around with it to try to make it look like it should be there. In reality, I don't actually think it should be there. I think that I'm definitely going to move this to somewhere with a forest. I can't, it doesn't matter what I did to it, there's nothing that I could do that would make it look more islandy. Alright, zooming back into it now, I'm gonna finish up the I'm gonna call it my workout room, but I think all I did was just leave that one piece of equipment in there. And then I'm gonna work on my office area and the last bedroom, which is the children's bedroom, or the child's bedroom. I was really hoping that there would be bunk beds in this game. I feel like I strongly remember bunk beds in The Sims 3. However, there were no bunk beds, so I was stuck just using the regular bed for that bedroom. However, I started with the office. Let's actually describe what's going on here. With the office, I went with the classic, old man desk, and, also the classic old man office chair. And then I picked one of the more higher end computers. I believe it comes with the Strangerville pack or expansion. And I like it. I think it's a powerful computer. It doesn't break as much as the rest of them do, so it's just kind of a good one to have around. And it's got a couple additional little options that you can do with it, so that's fun too. So I mess around a bit with the curtains. Obviously, any house that I am gonna build is gonna have curtains in every room, curtains on walls that have no windows, curtains over doorways, curtains everywhere. Curtains, I think, just add so much to a room, just like some little extra personality that wasn't there before. And then I really wanted to focus on this little corner, so I really needed some light, and I wanted a nice little sitting chair, just kind of an area that you could read by the bookshelf. So I picked the matching chair to the office chair that I have in there, and then I grabbed, I think, another little palm tree, and then I shoved that in the back. Yep, I grabbed a palm tree. And I think it looks good. It's a nice little cute office. And then I moved straight on to the children's bedroom. I started with a couple of these little wall decals, and I think I removed the balloons by the end. I realized that I don't really like all of the child's furniture. I don't think the kid's room has to have all the weird shapes and colors and the trunk that looks like a cat. I like the trunk that looks like a trunk. I don't know why I didn't pick it. It's just because I don't think the colors matched the way that I wanted to. But I don't think everything in a child's room has to scream, I'm a child. Some of it could just be furniture that's useful when they're a teenager too. So I went in and I grabbed just a regular plain dresser, and then a little bulletin board, just a couple little random things. I also wanted a little area where they could have friends over, or someone spend the night, so I wanted either a little couch, but then I remembered the Tiny Living pack came with all of these cute little Murphy beds. So I went with a little Murphy bed, so now the kid has a place where they can watch TV and sit and enjoy their bedroom, and then when their friend comes over, they can pull down the Murphy bed and have a nice place for them to sleep. That's a goal. I know I'm gonna find my butler in it most of the time, but I'm hoping that my kids will be able to have friends over. Alright, so we're coming up on the end of my speed build here. I'm putting the finishing touches in the children's room. The last thing I believe I did was enlarge this plumb bob, and I stuck that over the children's dresser. I think it just looked really cute and kind of simple. So with that finishing touch on, I would like to say a huge thank you to anybody who stopped by and watched my video. I'm going to insert a couple photos here at the end, just so you can kind of see room by room how it came out. And yeah, everybody have a wonderful day. Thank you so much for watching.